Make sure the lighting's perfect, I want them to see the tears. That's what Gina whispered to James behind the camera before pressing the record. I watched from the hallway, hands clenched, pulse silent but sharp. My wife, no, ex-wife in 2 hours, was rehearsing a breakup she begged me to fake. She didn't know I was home early. She didn't know I already filed the divorce papers. She thought I'd play along. Smile, act heartbroken, and nod on cue when she said we still loved each other but needed to grow. She had it all written, the script, the timing, the thumbnail. Emotional breakup still best friends was what she titled the draft. I had seen it on her laptop 2 nights ago, alongside a secret folder titled New Collabs, half of which were with James. My best man. My best mistake. I should have left when Rose first warned me. Rose, the only person who didn't want clout or a clip. The only person who saw Gina for who she really was, before the lies were monetized. Joseph, Gina sniffled, pressing the record button. Her voice cracked just enough to trigger sympathy algorithms. This isn't easy, but we owe our fans the truth. We've decided to break up. We? I hadn't spoken to her in 3 days. She continued. He'll always have a special place in my heart. We just want different things now, and we believe love doesn't always mean staying. The comments exploded. Thousands. Hearts. Crying emojis. Couple goals even when ending. So mature. Please tell me this isn't real. It wasn't. Not until I made it real. I stepped into the room, slow, calm, holding a brown envelope. She froze. James looked like a ghost had walked in. The camera was still recording. I placed the envelope on the table between us and met Gina's perfectly trembling eyes. You forgot this, she blinked. What is that? Real life, not the script. She looked down, her hands trembled for real, no. Inside that envelope, the divorce petition, signed and stamped. I didn't want a fake breakup, I wanted a real ending. You're joking, her voice cracked, but not in the way she practiced. James stepped forward. Hey man, this is... I turned to him. You should sit this one out, or do you only know how to perform when it's behind her bedroom door? Silence. Gina's eyes widened. You knew? She whispered. I tilted my head. You begged for a breakup video to farm sympathy points. You begged me to cry for the camera, and yet, you couldn't beg me for honesty? Her jaw tightened. I did this for us, for the brand. There is no us, Gina. There's your subscribers, there's your fake tears, and then there's the truth I'm about to upload. Her mask slipped. You wouldn't dare. I pulled my phone from my pocket and showed her the draft. The real footage, no filters, no edits, just her voice from the night before, whispering to James. If he finds out, just say it's all scripted. He's so easy to manipulate. Her hand shot forward to snatch the phone, but I pulled it back. Too late, I said. She looked up. You already did it? 15 minutes ago. While you were fixing your lighting, I was fixing my piece. She staggered back. Joseph, wait, think about what you're doing. People don't need to see this side of me. I leaned in close, not cruel, just cold. They already have. I walked out before the screaming started. She called my name once, then again, voice cracking for real this time. I didn't turn back. Not for the tears, not for the panic, not for the betrayal finally echoing in her tone. My hands were steady. I opened the door, sunlight hit my face, and my phone buzzed again. 2.3 million views. #real divorce trending #1. Caption. She begged me for a breakup scene. I gave her a divorce documentary. Behind me, her sobs turned to silence. Maybe for the first time, she realized this wasn't a rehearsal. This was the finale. My name is Joseph Grant, 32, founder of Adnova Media. Most people know me from the shadows of other people's success. I design algorithms, boost unknown influencers, write the back-end code that gives front-facing stars their moment in the spotlight. I made the invisible visible. Until I met someone who wanted to shine so badly, she'd walk over anything, including me, to get there. Her name was Gina Caldwell. She walked into my office 3 years ago, carrying a resume with more formatting than experience and a smile that could convince thunder to hold back its storm. She didn't come to work. She came in to win. I saw it in her walk, heard it in the pause between her sentences, each word calculated to sound effortless. I want to help manage creators, she said, her voice light but controlled, but I'd love to learn how you build them from the ground up. She wasn't lying, she did want to learn, but not for the reasons she claimed. She wasn't here to help anyone rise, she came to copy their steps, rehearse their patterns, steal their fans, and eventually become their competition. Back then, I didn't know. Back then, I thought she was refreshing. Gee, my mother always said, be careful of women who know how to cry without needing a mirror. Gina never cried in front of a mirror, she didn't need to, she had thousands of them. Phone cameras, studio lights, live stream filters, validation was her reflection. We started dating 6 months after she joined. It wasn't planned, we just happened to stay late one night, editing footage for a rising beauty influencer. Gina leaned against the monitor, sipped cheap coffee, and said, "You ever think you're building someone else's dream and forgetting your own?" I remember laughing. "All the time. You should be famous too," she whispered. "I'm the ghost behind the curtain," I told her. "Fame doesn't interest me, stability does." She tilted her head. "I think you're just scared." I didn't reply, but I looked at her a little differently that night. That same month, she posted her first TikTok. It went viral. Overnight she gained 40,000 followers. Her content wasn't groundbreaking, it was curated chaos. Fake pranks, over-edited reactions, trend-hopping without a soul. But she looked good on camera, and more importantly, she knew how to manipulate emotion. She posted a staged fight between us 3 months in. I didn't know until I saw it on my feed. "Joseph thinks I'm too clingy," she captioned, voice cracking on cue. The comment section lit up. "Girl, you deserve better. He doesn't know what he's got. Dump him." She thought it was harmless. "Baby, it's just engagement farming. Don't take it personally." I should have left then, but part of me, maybe the arrogant part, thought I could steer her back, fix her, ground her. She had her flaws, sure, but beneath it all, there was warmth. I just had to dig deep enough to find it. Then came James. James Rowe, 34, former college roommate and current CFO of my company. We built Adnova together. He knew every late night I suffered, every loan I repaid, every sacrifice I made when we couldn't pay rent on our first office. He was calm to my logic, the one I trusted most, which is what made the betrayal so surgical. He didn't come at me directly, he slid in quietly, small interactions, shared photo shoots, laughs that lasted just a beat too long. Inside jokes I didn't remember being part of. "You're paranoid," Gina would say when I asked. "He's your friend." Rose knew before I did. Rose Peterson, our project coordinator, and the only person who ever saw Gina with her mask off. She wasn't loud about it. Rose didn't do drama, she did precision. One evening after a client pitched, she stayed behind. "Joseph," she said, eyes firm but not unkind, "I think you should know, Gina's rehearsing things, not just her content, her emotions too." I raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "She scripts her reactions, times her breakdowns. There's something off. You might want to check your security cam footage." I brushed it off at first, thought maybe Rose was projecting. She'd had her heart broken by someone in the industry before, but that same night, I caught something on our guest room camera, a 2-minute clip of Gina practicing how to look devastated. "I just want different things, Isis does," he whispered to herself, watching her own reflection in the dark. "I hope you'll support me even if we're apart," she repeated with an increasing tremble in her voice. "Joseph, please don't cry, or I will too," she said finally, blinking rapidly until tears welled on cue. That wasn't the worst part. The worst part came 2 weeks later, when I came home early from a client shoot. The lights were dim, laughter echoed from the kitchen. When I stepped in, James was there, shirt half untucked. Gina leaned against the counter, wine glass in hand, her robe slipping just enough to show more than it should. They didn't look guilty, they looked rehearsed, like a scene they'd played before. "Didn't know you'd be back so early," James said, straightening. "Clearly," Gina smiled. "It's not what it looks like." "No," I said, walking to the fridge. "It looks exactly like the kind of people you both are." They didn't argue. That was the part that hurt more than anything. There was no explanation, no guilt, just silence, like they didn't need to deny it. 2 days later, she came to me with a business proposal, a breakup video, a performance. "It'll blow up," she said. "We act heartbroken. You pretend to move out, then in a month, we announce we're back together. Boom, double the views." I stared at her. "You want me to stage a breakup while you're actually cheating on me?" She frowned. "Cheating? Joseph, we were barely even speaking. You said we needed space. You asked me to take a week off to focus on your content. It's not like we were happy." I didn't scream, I didn't yell, I just stood there, realizing the person in front of me wasn't someone I ever really knew. She wasn't a partner, she was a brand, and I was just a tool in her marketing strategy. That night, I called Rose. "I need a favor," I said. She didn't ask what. She simply replied, "Whatever you need." Rose sent me a clip. It was Gina and James, laughing, rehearsing their fake breakup scene, even practicing tears. Rose had quietly forwarded the audio to herself while working late. She didn't know what I'd do with it, but she trusted I'd handle it. I edited the final cut myself. No captions, no music, no lighting correction, just raw footage. Gina saying, "Let's use the 'we still love each other' angle, that always makes people cry." Gina whispering to James, "He'll eat this up, he always does." And me walking in, face unreadable, dropping the divorce papers on the table. You know the rest. The fake scene never aired, the real one went viral, and for once, I wasn't invisible. I was the final cut. The problem with betrayal isn't the act itself, it's the moment after, the quiet second where you realize the past was a performance, the present is polluted, and the future was never yours to plan. That moment came to me the night Gina's breakup video hit 1 million views, only, it wasn't the one she recorded. It was the one I did. Her carefully rehearsed scene never saw the light of day. The draft sat abandoned on her desktop, buried under filters and sound overlays. Instead, the version I uploaded was unedited, real. Her voice as she told James, "Let's pause after I cry, so it feels authentic." Her words, raw, rehearsed, exposed. The comment section went nuclear. "Wait, is this real? She said it was fake, but this looks real. She planned it? Joseph deserves better." By sunrise, her following had split down the middle. Half her audience clung to her story. The other half demanded the truth. She posted a story. "We're just content creators, sometimes fiction and real life blend." But there was no blending. There was only Gina standing in a dress she piqued to look sympathetic, spinning lies to preserve her brand. Meanwhile, my inbox flooded with praise, concern, curiosity. But Rose? Rose stayed silent. She knew this wasn't the end. 3 nights after the upload, James texted me. "James, let's talk." Me. "Talk to the person you rehearse with." James. "It wasn't like that, I never planned to." Me. "Save it, you're not good at improv anyway." I blocked his number. The next day, Rose found me in the office kitchen. She didn't say, "I told you so," she didn't gloat, she just placed a flash drive on the table and whispered, "If you still need clarity, this might help." I stared at it. "What is it?" "Gina, the night before she asked you to film the breakup." I hesitated. "You recorded her again?" She shrugged. "The mic was still on. I didn't intend to, but I think you deserve to know what she said when she thought no one was listening." I nodded, pocketing it. "Thank you." Later that night, I plugged it in. Gina's voice, alone in the editing room. "She'll say I manipulated him, but honestly, he just needed someone to script his emotions. I gave him a purpose. He should thank me." She laughed to herself. "Rose is too quiet, I don't like her vibe, she sees too much, might have to phase her out soon." There it was, not just betrayal, but strategy, not just cheating, but control. I sat back in my chair, staring at the ceiling, letting silence wrap around my ribs like armor. And then came the phone call. My mother. She had no idea what had happened, only what she saw online. "Joseph, darling," she said softly, "are you okay?" "I'm fine." "You don't sound fine." "I'm processing." "I always had a bad feeling about her," she said. "She looked at cameras more than she looked at you." I didn't say anything. "Do you remember what I told you when you were little? That time doesn't heal everything, people do." She smiled. "You're my son, You'll find the right people. Maybe, but not yet. 2 days later, Gina showed up outside my apartment. Not screaming, not sobbing, just dressed down, no lashes, no gloss, hair tied back like the version of her I barely remembered. She waited outside the gate until I walked down. Joseph. Gina. She fidgeted. Can we talk? Didn't we already do that online? Please, she whispered. I need to say it without views attached. I opened the gate but didn't step aside. You have 1 minute. I made a mistake, she said. I thought I was building something that needed drama. I didn't know how to stop once it worked. I didn't mean to use you, not at first. And later? She blinked. Later, it just got easier. I exhaled through my nose. You're not here for me, you're here because the numbers dropped. No, she said quickly. I mean, yes, that happened, but it's not why I came. I didn't interrupt. I came because I lost something real, not just the audience. I lost you. I raised an eyebrow. You lost me the night James took off his shirt in my kitchen. That never happened. Not yet, but it's on your drafts. Her face froze. You checked my phone? No, you uploaded it accidentally to Cloud Sync. She winced. It was part of a skit. Was it scripted when you kissed him too? She didn't answer, and that was the answer. You were never with me, I said. You were with my platform. I was with someone who made me feel like I mattered. I laughed. No, Gina, I made you visible, I made you viral, you made yourself hollow. I started to walk away. Wait, she said, stepping forward. Please, I'll shut it all down, the channel, the deals, just give me a chance. I paused, not because I was tempted, because for a split second, I saw the girl from 3 years ago, the one who asked me if I ever felt like I was building someone else's dream. I already gave you a chance, I said. You called it content. And I walked inside. That night, Rose texted me. Rose. She came to the office, told everyone you ruined her. Me. Let her scream. I'm done playing her audio engineer. Rose. You okay? Me. I will be. But the truth was, I wasn't angry anymore. I was empty. Which is worse. And that's when the comments changed. From public drama to personal pity. From iconic breakup to Joseph deserves healing. Even worse, some people thought we'd get back together. She's crying on live again. She regrets it, you can tell. He should forgive her. Gina and Joseph forever? The misunderstanding was loud, but the truth was quiet. Rose called me at 2 a.m. Her voice was soft. I'm sorry you had to learn this way. I'm not, I replied. I needed to see the real her. I always wondered, she whispered, if maybe the right one comes after the wrong one breaks us. I stayed silent for a moment. I don't want a right one, I said. I want peace. You might get both. Before I could answer, another call buzzed through. Gina again. Ignored. She tried again and again. 10 calls, 12, each one went to voicemail. Until finally, she left a message. Joseph, if you ever loved me, please talk to me. I'm scared. James. He left. Said I was bad for business. My sponsors dropped. My numbers are down. I don't know who I am without the show. I didn't listen to the rest, because the part that mattered? She still thought it was a show. She never realized, for me, this was real. The day the video hit 5 million views, I stopped opening the comments. It wasn't the hate I feared, it was the understanding. People knew, they saw what she said, how she planned it, how I looked when I walked into the room. Some said I deserved better, others called me naive. The worst ones were those who said I still loved her. Because I didn't know if they were wrong. My mind wasn't haunted by her betrayal anymore. That wound had already dried. What lingered now were the quiet hours, the half-lit spaces of the day where my thoughts went too loud. The grocery store where I remembered what snacks she used to fake cravings for. The coffee mug she insisted was her lucky one. The photo of us, still in my phone, not because I couldn't delete it, but because I wanted to remember what fake love had looked like up close. I wasn't heartbroken. That word implies there's something left to break. What I was suspended. I couldn't move forward without stepping into the shadow she left behind. Even if I walked in a different direction, it followed. Not her, but the version of me I became to keep her happy. The people around me started treating me differently too. My team at Adnova was cautious, overcompensating with kindness, never mentioning her name, avoiding any client who even remotely looked like her. Rose was the only one who didn't flinch. We sat together after hours sometimes, not talking much, just breathing in the quiet, letting the silence say the things we didn't need to. "Do you ever feel like you're still acting?" I asked one night. Rose looked over. "You mean pretending to be okay?" "Yeah. All the time." I nodded, thankful for the honesty. "You're not supposed to be over it yet," she said. "That's not how real pain works." I thought I was stronger. "You are. Strength doesn't mean skipping grief, it means surviving it." Her words should have comforted me, but they didn't. Not fully. Because I wasn't grieving Gina. I was grieving my own blindness. The man I had been, calculated, grounded, emotionally disciplined, he disappeared somewhere along the way, replaced by someone desperate to be believed. And the worst part? I saw it happening, and I let it. There were nights when Gina would cry over a failed skit, weep over negative comments, and I'd be the one to console her. Write her script, edit her footage, light her perfectly so her tears hit just right. I wasn't just her boyfriend, I was her set designer, her emotional editor. Her accomplice. The realization made my stomach twist. What if I enabled all of it? What if she became this version of herself because I kept rewarding the lie with silence? That question echoed longer than any insult ever could. My phone buzzed again. "Gina. Can we talk?" "Gina. Please, just one coffee." "Gina. I'm not okay." The messages blurred together. Not because I felt sorry, but because I didn't feel anything. It was like watching someone drown in water they poured themselves. I didn't reply. But that night, I lay awake for hours, trying to convince myself I wasn't cruel. Was silence a punishment, or just a boundary? Rose noticed the change in me. She didn't say much, but she started leaving small things on my desk: a new pen when mine ran out, tea when I looked too pale, a note that just read, "You're not invisible." She never said it aloud, but I think she knew I needed someone to see me without trying to fix me. And for a while, that became my anchor. Until James returned. I saw him one morning near the elevators. He wasn't smug, he wasn't scared, just present, like nothing had happened. "Joseph," he said, nodding. I didn't reply. He stepped in beside me as the elevator doors opened. The silence inside felt too small for both of us. "I didn't think you'd still be here," he said eventually. "I built this place." He looked down. "I didn't mean for any of that to happen." "Yes, you did." He exhaled. "She reached out to me too. She's not doing well." "She's not my responsibility." "I know, I just thought you should hear it." I turned to him, finally facing him properly. "You want to clear your conscience, James? Start by admitting you were never my friend. Not really. You used my loyalty like she used my silence." "I messed up," he said, "but I wasn't trying to hurt you. You were just trying to win." He didn't respond. The elevator opened. I walked out. He stayed behind. That night, I stood in my studio again. Alone, no script, no lights. I thought about filming another video, something personal, something honest, but I couldn't bring myself to hit a record, because I didn't know what I'd say. I didn't want to be a symbol, I didn't want to be a trending redemption arc, I just wanted to go back, to the quiet, to the work, to the part of me that didn't need to be seen to feel real. So I wrote instead. Closure isn't always a door you slam shut. Sometimes it's a window you leave open just wide enough to let the past escape. I closed my journal and tried to sleep. But in my dream, I saw her again. Not the Gina from the streams, but the Gina who stood beside me during her first viral hit, holding her breath like she'd just discovered magic. That girl didn't know she'd become addicted to the applause. That girl still believed the views were a sign of worth. I woke up with a strange ache in my chest. Maybe I wasn't angry anymore. Maybe I was just tired of losing pieces of myself to people who didn't ask permission to take them. The next day, Rose walked into my office. She looked hesitant. "Joseph, what's wrong?" "She went live again." I sighed. "Let her. She mentioned you." I didn't reply. She said she still dreams about you, that she sees you in every man she tries to love. I looked up. That's not love, that's projection. She said she's sorry. I stayed silent. Rose took a step closer. What do you want me to do? Nothing, I said. Let her be a ghost. She nodded slowly. And you, I'm not haunted anymore. But I was lying. Because somewhere deep, I still felt the echo, the shape of the pain she left behind. Not sharp, just familiar. That night, I lit every candle in my apartment. No lights, just flame and stillness. I didn't open her messages. I didn't watch the live. I didn't chase the closure she dangled. Instead, I opened an old file, my first video project before Gina, before Adnova. Just raw footage of city streets, children playing, couples walking past coffee shops. It was boring. And it was real. And for the first time in months, I smiled. Because maybe healing wasn't about one big moment of clarity. Maybe it was about choosing, day after day, not to perform the pain, but to release it, quietly. Without applause. It was a Wednesday morning when the second shift in the storm hit. I was in the middle of a client pitch, Rose sitting beside me with notes, when her phone vibrated. A soft buzz, followed by a sharp intake of breath. She glanced at the screen, then at me. I paused mid-sentence. What? She turned her phone toward me. A headline blinked across the screen. Gina Caldwell files defamation suit against X, claims mental harm and brand damage. The room spun for a second, but I kept my face neutral. My client didn't notice. I wrapped up the pitch, smiled, shook hands, and walked out with Rose in silence. Once we were back in my office, I locked the door. She's suing me? Rose nodded. Filed an hour ago, James signed a statement on her behalf. Of course he did. What exactly is she claiming? Rose pulled out a printed document. That you posted private footage without consent, that the video destroyed her brand partnerships, that she's experienced harassment and mental trauma since the upload. She begged me to do that video, she scripted every word. Rose nodded. Doesn't matter now, the court won't care unless you can prove it. I have the draft, the original video, the messages. She's claiming those were scripted too, that everything was fictional and you blurred the line between content and real life to smear her. I sank into my chair, fingers steepled under my chin. This isn't about money, this is about control, I said slowly. She wants to take the narrative back. Rose nodded. She's playing the victim, and James is playing the loyal witness. I laughed under my breath. Loyalty from a man who was helping her fake intimacy while I paid for her gear. We have one option, Rose said. We fight, publicly. No. She looked at me, surprised. You don't want to defend yourself? I want to win quietly. Loud victories fade, quiet ones echo. She didn't argue, just nodded. Then we need strategy. I pulled out my hard drive, the backups, the edits, the time-stamped folders, the videos Gina never thought I saved. One by one, I laid them out on the screen. Let's build the timeline, I said. Every lie, every mask, every take she did twice. We worked until midnight. Rose cross-referenced texts, footage, metadata. She organized them with surgeon-like precision. At 1:15 a.m., she looked at me. She's not ready for this. I know. But the conflict wasn't legal anymore. It was psychological, and Gina knew how to weaponize attention. The next morning, she posted a new video. Hair messy, eyes red, hoodie zipped up to her chin. You ever love someone so much you let them ruin you just to keep them? She sniffled. I made mistakes, I know that. But Joseph wasn't innocent either. He knew what we were doing was performative. He approved every script. The comments were a mixed tide. Some believed her, some tore her apart. Most just wanted blood from someone. And then she dropped the real twist. I'm sharing my therapy sessions, weekly. I want people to see the real me. It wasn't just a play for sympathy, it was a move for the moral high ground. If I fought back now, I'd look like a bully kicking someone who was healing. Gina had learned something dangerous, how to package damage as branding. And James? He posted a tweet. It's never too late to tell your side of the story. I didn't respond. But I felt the heat building. The following week, Adnova lost 3 sponsors. Not because of the lawsuit, but because the atmosphere around Joseph Grant was too controversial. Rose entered my office, furious. They're not even waiting for a ruling, they're just pulling out. They don't care about the truth, they care about noise. I stared out the window. I thought the worst was over, I murmured. It's not, she said, but maybe, this is what you needed. I turned. What? You're still reacting, still editing your life around her decisions. I'm trying to survive. You're trying not to upset the audience, but Joseph, there is no audience anymore, just you, and her, and a war only one of you thinks is worth filming. I sat back. Then how do I end it? You don't, she said. You outlast it. So I disappeared. No posts, no comments, no counterattacks. Just silence. I let her perform. Let James posture. Let the internet turn their attention elsewhere. And slowly, the tide shifted. She posted more, but the views dropped. The comments became less supportive. She cried louder, the audience listened less. Until one day, she posted a clip. I'm exhausted, maybe Joseph was right. That same night, Rose found me outside the office. We sat on a bench in the dark, coffee between us. She's unraveling, she said quietly. She's addicted to her own narrative. Rose hesitated. You could end it. One more upload. The receipts. The full truth. I shook my head. I don't need them to know, I just need to know that I'm free. She looked at me for a long time. I think you're stronger than you think. I think I had to be. We sat in silence, moonlight soft on the sidewalk. I turned to her. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why did you stay, through all this? She didn't look away. Because I saw you before she did. And you never saw yourself the way I did. Quiet. Constant. Honest. And what do you see now? She smiled. Someone who finally stopped waiting for permission to move on. I exhaled. For the first time in a long while, it didn't hurt. The lawsuit faded. No court date ever came. Gina quietly withdrew the claim 2 weeks later. No apology, no explanation, just silence. And somehow, that was the loudest peace I'd ever known. It wasn't the confrontation in the conference room that changed everything. That had been a necessary step, quiet, formal, emotionally raw, but it wasn't the end. It was just the warning shot before the final reckoning. The moment of true confrontation came weeks later, unplanned, unfilmed, and entirely unscripted. Gina showed up at my live seminar. I was midway through a talk about digital identity, how people turn themselves into products, and how that commodification creates separation from self, when I saw her slip through the auditorium doors. No fanfare. No entourage, just her. She wore a navy coat, oversized and simple, and her makeup was minimal, almost like a rejection of the filters she once lived behind. But what struck me most was that she wasn't looking at me the way she used to, not through me, not above me, at me, like I was real again. I continued speaking, though my heartbeat thundered in my ears. My words felt heavier now, truer, not because she was there, but because I no longer needed her to hear them. After the talk, there was a meet and greet. Attendees lined up for handshakes, questions, and photo ops. Gina waited until the end. When she finally approached, Rose, who had been assisting me all day, stood nearby. She saw Gina before I did. Her shoulders tensed, but she didn't speak. She knew this had to happen. Joseph, Gina said. Gina. Her eyes were glassy, but not in the weaponized way I remembered, just tired. That was powerful. Thank you. I wasn't planning to come, I needed to see it for myself. See what? That you really let go. I paused. I didn't let go. I let myself return. She nodded slowly. I miss who I was before all of it. I didn't reply. What was there to say? She looked around. You've built something real. People respect you now. I didn't build this to be respected, I built it because I was tired of hiding behind the curtain. She stepped closer. And her? She glanced at Rose. Is she why you're better? No, I said clearly. I am. She just reminds me not to forget. Gina's shoulders dropped. I still don't know who I am without the camera. That's your work to do. I know. We stood there for a moment, two people who tried to edit their lives into something presentable, finally facing the raw footage. Then she asked, quietly, can I apologize properly? You already have. Not in a video. She took a shaky breath. I'm sorry, Joseph, not for the breakup, but for not seeing you, for treating you like a character in my story, for trading your silence for screen time. I nodded once. Apology accepted. Tears welled in her eyes, but I knew now that they weren't a performance. They were late, maybe too late, but they were real. She glanced at Rose again, then said something I didn't expect. Take care of her, she's everything I pretended to be. And she walked away. No breakdown, no final act, just closure. I turned to Rose, who had watched it all. You okay? She asked. Yeah, actually, I am. She smiled softly. Good, because we have an after-party to get to. We laughed, the kind of laugh that doesn't come from relief, but from truth finally catching up with you. Later that night, the city buzzed around us as we sat on a rooftop overlooking the skyline. The wind brushed her hair into her face, and I tucked it behind her ear before I realized I had moved. She didn't flinch. Do you believe in second chapters? I asked. She looked at me carefully. Only if the first one taught you something. It did. And? I don't want to write this one alone. She smiled, eyes lit from within. You're not. I leaned in and kissed her, not out of need, not out of loneliness, but out of a quiet certainty that I had finally stepped out of the frame Gina kept me in. I had found my own focus. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. Rose was asleep beside me, peaceful and real. I walked to the window, pulled open the blinds, and watched the first light break through. No comments. No hashtags, no edit button, just the world, unfiltered. For the first time in years, I felt no urge to post about it, because I wasn't living for the ending anymore. I was finally living in the scene. I never wanted revenge, not the kind people expect anyway. I didn't want to humiliate Gina. I didn't need to ruin her career or destroy James. I didn't want headlines or hashtags or a pity parade. I wanted something simpler, something far more valuable than applause. I wanted them to watch me win in silence. 2 months after our final encounter, I bought the production company that Gina had signed with, the one she clung to after our divorce to stay relevant. Quietly, through a shell investment firm, no press, no grand reveal. They had dropped her 2 weeks earlier due to brand fatigue and narrative overexposure. She never knew it was me who made the call that sealed her contract termination. She never saw the memo that started it, a single redacted email labeled "Credibility Risk, Caldwell." Rose had helped write it. She didn't ask for credit. We were building something different now. Adnova was no longer just a platform incubator, it had evolved into a creator sanctuary, an agency that prioritized story over stunt, reality over reach. We signed raw voices, real people, the kind of creators who didn't fake love or cry on cue. I made sure the old office where Gina used to stage her videos was converted into a therapy lounge and audio booth. When my staff asked what to call the new wing, I smiled and said, "Call it the archive. For lessons, not memories." One morning, while walking through the archive, I received a message from an old editor of hers. "Thought you'd like to see this." Attached was a clip, not a live stream, not a production, just a vertical phone video. Gina sitting in a folding chair in what looked like a community center hall, no lights, no filters, just her, reading a poem at an open mic event. Her voice cracked halfway through. "I used to post heartbreaks for hearts, now I write them for silence, and maybe that's healing. Or maybe it's just the sound of no one clapping." I didn't watch the rest. I didn't feel satisfied. I felt at peace. Because for the first time, she was talking to no one, and that meant she might finally be listening to herself. James, on the other hand, didn't go quietly. He tried to start a tech podcast, then a reaction channel, then a scandal-focused commentary blog. Nothing stuck. I heard from a mutual acquaintance that he was pitching a memoir called Behind the Stream, The Truth About Influence. No publisher touched it. A few even emailed me, discreetly asking if I wanted a chance to review any content involving my name. I never replied. I didn't need to censor him. He was already forgotten. But Rose was different. She became the unexpected protagonist of a story she never wanted to star in. Her ability to remain quiet in chaos made her trustworthy. Her calm under pressure made her powerful. She stepped into a leadership role at Adnova without me asking, without ever demanding a spotlight. One day, I found her on the rooftop balcony, staring at the skyline. "You planning your exit?" I joked. She smiled. "Planning our expansion." "You think we're ready?" She turned. "You've been ready, you just needed to stop bleeding to remember that." I looked at her. "Did it ever bother you, the way I used to be? How far I let her take me?" "No," she said simply, "because you never asked me to fix you, you just let me stay." That was the real revenge, not the company, not the silence, but the love I rebuilt didn't need permission, apology, or performance. 6 months after Gina's poem night, I received another email, this one from her, directly. Subject line, "Thank you," no body text, no attachments, just that, and I understood. "Thank you for letting go. Thank you for not destroying me. Thank you for walking away when I tried to pull you under." I archived the email. Not because I needed to remember it, but because I didn't need to reply. The final act of revenge wasn't rage, it was relevant. And I had it now, not through viral views, but through a life that didn't depend on spectacle. Rose and I launched a creator wellness initiative that year. We called it Offline, The Real You. We held retreats, invited creators who had burned out, broken down, or vanished from the platforms that once made them. Gina applied. Rose saw the name first. "She wants to come?" I nodded. "Let her." "Are you sure?" "She's not a threat anymore, she's just another survivor of herself." Gina attended. She didn't speak to me during the retreat. She joined the workshops, participated in the silent walk, shared tears during the group grief circle. But she never looked for me, until the very last day. As we closed the session, she approached with a small notebook. "This is yours," she said. "I didn't write it." "No, but it was always about you." I accepted it with a quiet nod. She didn't ask for forgiveness, I didn't offer any. That part was already buried. She walled aside, kept away before I could open it. Rose leaned over my shoulder. "What is it?" Inside the notebook was a single line, written over and over on every page. "I am not the main character." And on the last page, "But I hurt someone who was." I closed the notebook and tucked it into the shelf behind me. I didn't need to keep it, but I didn't need to throw it away, either. Sometimes, closure looks like letting people walk through your life one last time, without holding the door or shutting it behind them. Years later, long after the drama faded and the cameras dimmed, I was invited to speak at a major industry conference. The topic? Authenticity in the age of algorithms. I stood on stage, facing an audience of thousands, creators, developers, artists, investors, and I began with one sentence. "I once loved a woman who taught me how to lie with a camera, and then I loved a woman who showed me how to live without one." The room went still, and in that stillness, I told them the truth, not the scandal, not the numbers, not the drama, but the journey from silence to sovereignty, from being a background character in my own story to finally directing it. And as I ended, I looked toward the corner of the room, where Rose was standing, her arms crossed, eyes proud. I smiled. Because I didn't need to say her name. She already knew the script was mine now.